Hello everyone. We have discovered a very bizarre case, which is a large-scale and serious smear campaign. I have never seen more than thousands of defamatory articles launched against one ordinary person who is neither a superstar nor a politician. These articles are basically all the same. They are copied from each other without being tested. No cross-examinations, no cross-references, no fact-check, no investigation from any judicial organ reports. All kinds of so-called news, compiled without factual basis, are flooding the internet. On China's WeChat platform, just a random search shows that as many as 111 Chinese media outlets are crazy hyped and have sensationalized this news. It seems that the purpose behind them is pretty suspicious. This is not a news, this is a typical political execution to muzzle the victim, put him into a social death, and cover up the truth forever. However, conformity is not our job. Our job is fact-checking. According to the principle of the 10th man, if 9 out of 10 people have said the same thing, this means they are either in a collusion or they are wrong. It is the responsibility of the 10th man to provide a different perspective and to find the truth. He who thinks wins. In this case, we hope to uncover the truth and present the real historical facts to the audience. We first went to the website of the Chinese judicial authorities to search for the relevant judgment of Amanda Zhao's case, but there is no criminal judgment of this case. The Chinese judicial authorities have revoked it, perhaps because the Chinese court knew that the case had grave errors. Okay, let's take a look at all the evidence that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police handed over to China under the crazy media sensationalization and political interference from China and Canadian Chinese MP Jenny Y. Ching Kwan back then. This volume of files is all the evidence received by China from Canada. On the first page, we see a certificate from the Consulate General of the People's Republic of China in Vancouver, which proves that the received evidence was transferred from the Burn Bay detachment of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to the Beijing Public Security Bureau. And on the second page, there is a list of all the witnesses in this case. Although the Canadian police interviewed up to 60 witnesses, none of them pointed a finger at Mr. Lee, except for Han Zhang. His false statement was under coercion and completely inconsistent with the Canadian police's investigation report. The Canadian police illegally obtained these verbal confessions, and it was solitary. Therefore, all of Han Zhang's statements were ruled out by the British Columbia Supreme Court as illegal evidence. Fortunately, we found a witness. She clearly knew who killed Amanda Zhao and described the real killer's features as follows: 5'2" to 5'3", white top, 110 to 125 pounds, looks Italian, black leather jacket, hazel eyes. Unfortunately, there is no further investigation for such an important lead. The real culprit is still at large. Let's continue to look. This is a judicial cooperation agreement between China and Canada. Wow, this is important, subject to the caveat and that the statement made by Zhang Han on November 30th, 2002, December 1st, 2002, and December 2nd, 2002, which was subsequently found to be inadmissible in proceedings in Canada, will not be used against Mr. Lee in criminal proceeding in China. China should not use Zhang Han's illegal statements as so-called evidence, which has already been judged as unlawful by Canadian court. But China has no law, or I should say, the Chinese authorities do not comply with the law. In the matter of fact, China has completely violated this promise by using unfounded illegal confessions to politically persecute and imprison Mr. Lee. Okay, now we have reached a crucial point. After more than 20 years of news sensationalization and propaganda, many media outlets used to believe that the jurisdictional dispute on capital punishment between China and Canada is the very reason that Canadian police did not hand over the relevant evidence to the Chinese police. However, the true fact is that Canadian police did not have any evidence to incriminate Mr. Lee, let alone file a lawsuit against him. On the other hand, there is a man who lives not far from Amanda's house, and he is highly suspected by the RCMP. Unfortunately, he successfully got away from the police investigation with the help of a lawyer. Many viewers may ask, China was using this case to politically persecute Mr. Lee and his family due to the Tibet uprising and use him as a bargain chip with Canada for hostage diplomacy for a Chinese tycoon, Lai Chang-sing, who was the richest man in China. What about Canada? Why has Canada prosecuted him? They should know it is a wrong case and have already written its own police's illegal activities in the judicial verdict. Let's take a look at the Royal Canadian Mounted Police's investigation transcript, volume 20, page 49. On November 17th, 2002, the investigation had been active and no suspect identified yet. Volume 23, page 27. I, the police, told them that we have no evidence that her boyfriend is responsible. So what caused the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to change their stance on Mr. Lee? Because of her.
Criminality is a key piece in making a determination for anybody's refugee status and immigration status. So Canada needs to make sure that we share all of that information with them.
She keeps pressuring the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to share so-called evidence and criminal history with New Zealand. Is really a slap on her face. Just like when she asked the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to hand over the so-called evidence to China 20 years ago. The more she performs, the deeper her involvement in this wrongful case, and the more retribution she will face in the future. Our fact-checking team is very shocked by the political motivation behind this case. Obviously, a prima facie case has not even been established, a case without basic facts. Why did so many media outlets not care about the truth and only copy from each other? Why have no investigative journalists dug into this wronged case? Why is a Canadian politician involved in an individual case? Interfering with judicial independence is a serious violation of the Constitution of Canada. Why hasn't she been held accountable? At least she should show remorse to the victim's family. We checked her official website and we can clearly see she had lots of interaction with China back then, and she is a loyal friend of China at that time. The audience really has doubt if she has received instructions from China and pushed innocent people into the Chinese communist red hell, because everyone knows China has no rule of law, no human rights, no democracy, no supervision. So we are very suspicious of her motive for doing this. Of course, everyone sympathizes with Amanda Zhao and her parents. She was so young and beautiful, but we cannot shift the blame onto another victim, Mr. Lee. It is hard to imagine how this tragedy destroyed the lives of these two families. So far, we understand that the so-called jurisdictional dispute between China and Canada is actually a frenzy of an unjust, wrong case and disinformation. Finally, let's take a look at some details of the case, hoping to find out the real culprit and solve the case for all the victims. The DNA, hair and fibers are key physical evidence, and we hope to find out who they belong to. It was tested that they have no link to Mr. Lee or his cousin. Look at this. The Chinese police forged evidence on the hair. Everyone can browse this website, www.shaohui.ca. It will show you the details of this case. Alright, thanks for watching Fact Check, folks. See you next time.